Starting up my stream. It has had a very tight time crunch today. I haven't even eaten breakfast yet. How are you doing? I'm still starting up all of the little programs that I run to help me out when I'm streaming. So please bear with me. Gonna start the timer at 45 seconds. About 40 seconds. Start. There. No, that's 40 minutes. Let's try that again. 50 seconds. Start. Good, 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 good. Had lunch today already? I haven't even eaten breakfast yet. All right. We look at the requests queue for channel points. Minimize that. All right. Oh, and my companion is right there, silently judging me from on high. And I'm still waiting for stuff to start up. Oh, that's the front end starting up, so I can do this now. All right, I have some good news. I should be done with the NPC script rewrite today. So let me show you one thing that I worked on last night. It was just a little bit more than what I ended at last stream. I can now go on to my friendly NPC here, and if I want him to travel to this spot, and then this spot, and then go back home, I have to remember these numbers now. 0, 13, 4, 6. 0, 13, 4, 6. Travel 0, 13, 4, 6, and then I've memorized the home location. That's negative 3, 10. The moment I hit submit here, there he goes. He's going on his little path. He can travel with checkpoints. Hey there, glitched out. How are you doing? So I just told George, go travel to here, then travel to here, then go back here. So he will dutifully go along his way. Let's watch his pursuit path. So that's where he started this morning, and now he hit here, and now he's going to the second checkpoint, which is up here. And when he reaches there, he's going to go back here, and he's done. The travel scripts are done. So I just need to hook that into the concept of guiding a player, and then all of the scripts will be back up to date where they were before. The other thing I fixed, which was ridiculously easy to fix now that I have the scripts a lot more refactored and easier to maintain, is this bug where if you start talking to an NPC, that they don't wander away. So now that I'm talking to him with this player character, he's not going to wander away. He's going to stand right there next to my player, chatting with him. Hey there, Toulouse. So I'm still setting up the stream. I actually haven't eaten breakfast, so I'm probably going to hide the camera for a few minutes and eat while I get stuff set up. Because I still am a little bit, I don't know. What's the right word? Shy about eating on camera. I also think it might be kind of considered rude for some people. So, if you see my camera go away, it's probably because I'm eating breakfast. Groggy? You're groggy? Did you do a 24-hour stream and I didn't see it? Also, I need to brush my hair. Hold on a second. No 24-hour stream? One of these days. Actually, didn't you already do a 24-hour stream? The only way I'd be able to do a 24-hour stream is on the weekend. And probably the wife wouldn't like it so much. Oh, you did. That's right. You did a 24-hour charity stream. That's how I can maybe convince Mrs. Reimu that it's a good idea. I can do it for charity. All right, I'm just getting out some stuff. Don't mind me. All right. Okay, what else did I do last night? I cleaned up the NPC AI stuff. Oh, I remember. Yesterday, I hadn't quite finished it, but I had been working on redoing the JSON wrapper. So it's really nice and clean now. There are only really three methods here. Link Lua, which defines this concept of null, which thank you A squared pi gave me this idea that we'll have a special Lua value called null, which is like a nil or JSON null or C++ 0 or null pointer, only it actually takes a place in a Lua table rather than in Lua nil key for a table means that there is no entry for that key, and so it can't actually take a place. So this is a placeholder that also acts as a nil. And then the other two functions, from Lua and to Lua, are push Lua. From Lua, push Lua are a little bit complicated, but they are a direct translation now between Lua and C++ JSON structures without any kind of special wrapper in the way. So the wrapper is really just doing a direct translation. So you're given a JSON value, it puts the closest equivalent onto the Lua stack. So null is the null global, Boolean's a Boolean, string is a string, integer is an integer, floating point is a number. An array is a table with integer keys, so a list type table, and an object is a table with string keys. Very straightforward. The hard part is going the other way. So the Lua value translating to a JSON, Lua is more flexible than JSON, so there's certain combinations here we can't do. So we can do nil. We can also do the special null I did down here, which also is a null. We can do numbers, and a number can either be an integer or a floating point. And we can do booleans, we can do strings. Table is the weird one. So what we do is we're iterating through all the keys in the Lua table, and we're collecting two kinds of keys that we care about, integer keys and string keys. If it's not an integer or a string, we can't do anything with it, so we throw it away. That's the decision. The executive decision I made is that if there's something in a Lua table under a key that's not an integer or a string, then shrug. We can't do anything with it. We throw it away. If it's a string, we store it as an object key. If it's something that we can turn into an integer, we make it an array index. And then we collect all those, and we might have some of both. And then the second executive decision I made is that if we have any object keys at all, just one, let's say we had one object key and 99 indices for an array, we only will use the object keys. And only if all the object keys are empty, like there aren't any, do we make an array out of the array indices. So there's a little bit of recursion in here too, because when we're looking at this table, the value we get, we make a recursive call to from Lua. So we're in from Lua, make a recursive call to from Lua for the inner value of a table. So that's the little trick that lets it go nested, and it works really well. The only cost here, other than performance, I guess, which we'll have until we get rid of JSON entirely, is that certain things in Lua we won't be able to represent in JSON. But they're mostly weird things, like if you had a table with keys that were functions or booleans or something like that, they'll enter this default and just break out. The other thing that'll get ignored is if you mix array indices and string keys, then we'll end up inside of here and basically throw away all the array indice ones and just take the string keys. I think that's a fair compromise. So, yeah. So let me finish doing today's plan. Yeah, we're throwing away the numeric keys. I figure if I'm dumb enough in my scripts to mix lists with a map tables, then I get what I deserve by throwing away all the list indices. Okay, I haven't done this at all, so technically we're still starting out the stream. Actually, let's say, whoa, I didn't mean to hit that key. Let's say that I am now putting together today's plan. I don't feel too bad about doing this because other streamers like Adam, for example, will do this too. So what I really want to do today is finish, let's zoom in here, finish rewriting the game's NPC scripts. So I think the only thing left is the guide system. So, which is that an NPC like George here can be asked to lead a player from one place to another, and it's sort of like the travel that I demonstrated earlier, only they will kind of pause and wait if the player gets too far away, and if the wait times out, then the NPC would abandon the guiding and go back to base. So I'll work through how I want to do that as I'm doing it. I also want to review to see if I missed anything from previous streams that I had written down. All about the guiding, I think. Oh, this idea of running a completion script. I think I want to put that in. So completion scripts. Actually, we probably need to do that first because I think the guide system is going to depend on that. Completion scripts on execute completion scripts when NPCs finish traveling. The NPC eventually stop dialogue with the player if they just idle. If they idle, then the player will get logged out due to inactivity, and then that'll free up the NPC. I figured that's good enough. Although, you do give me an interesting idea. Let me give you a point for that. That might be something I might want to do. So, like, after a while, the NPC could say, like, well, I have better things to do than to wait for you, and then just wander away, maybe. Where's my notebook? Here it is. Let me put that in there. We can do that. So, how would I do that? That would just be another rule. That's maybe part of the dialogue. Or another, that's outside this NPC scripts then. That's sort of a function of the dialogue system, right? So in the dialogue system for George the Guard, there might be, in addition to the global variables here, name and modal, there might be like inactivity timeout. I mean, it doesn't need to be that short. Maybe like if you just sit there idling for a minute, he could just terminate the dialogue and wander away, right? Yeah, maybe I think I will add that, and then maybe if it's not set, then it doesn't time out. All right. Maybe I'll make this the goal for this first stream today. So I'm doing like 3 hours, and then I gotta go pick up one of my kids from school, and then if I'm still feeling up to it, I'll do the second stream in the afternoon, and I'll figure out what I'll do then. This is probably good enough for the 3-hour stream today. Hey there. Thank you for that follow. So that in place, let me do some, what do you call it, administrative tasks here. So this is some of the stuff I like to do for my own organization. Get a link to that notebook page and paste it in a few places. So there's log. I don't like how like slow it is to load. That's the only thing I don't like about this OneNote Online. I'm faster than it, and computers should not be faster than me. I mean, computers should always be faster than me, not slower than me. I should not be waiting for a computer to do something. Copy to clipboard. Paste it to verify it works. Yes, okay. So then I'm going to take it and put it here. And I'm also going to update the today command, and this will give me a chance to verify my game hasn't crashed. Looks like we're still good. I'm going to go down to today. Really, it's the same. Today command doesn't change except for the link. So paste the link, update, test it out here. Today. Not Toady. What's wrong with me? Today. There we go. All right. And then let me just also put it in Discord. Need to keep that habit up. I plan to finish rewriting my game's NPC scripts today. All right. So plan is in place, ready to work, but I need to actually finish my breakfast. So I think what I'm gonna do is I think I only need a couple minutes to chow this down. I'm gonna take a quick 3-minute break and then get to work. So let me start the timer for 3-0 and start, and I'll be right back. Turns out I'm a pro at eating really quickly. Only like a minute and a half. Wouldn't have thought that. Okay, today's plan is put together. So I think I'm going to focus on writing routines to support the NPC guide system. So let's establish a new script file called NPC guide. And then make a unit test for it. Will I need time? I will, because part of guiding will be waiting. Hey there, Rally Monkey. How are you today? How are the mini monkeys? Oh, I did forget something. I forgot to start my Stream Helper's stream timer. Not that it really matters that much. I'm on the big TV. One is watching now. I probably just freaking terrified them. Enjoyed my be right back screen with my silly rabbit avatar and the kitty. Next action time is irrelevant for guiding. I think we do need the entity? I don't know. Do we need the position? I don't know. Delta, don't think we need position. Okay, I think we're good. All right, I don't know about this $10,000. Okay. NPC guide. Arrange, act, assert. This is the boilerplate that I want to start with. And then guide will just be empty. Actually, I'll need a couple different subroutines. Let's have one that we'll use from dialogue scripts called start, where we're just given the NPC entity and the client entity. I'm calling it client because I was calling it client in previous streams. Client is out of range, so it's, and for lack of a better word, client will be the player who the NPC is guiding. So I'll need one of those. And let me think about this. We'll probably want to have some subroutines around waiting, right? Perhaps this checking if the client is in range. So NPC guide in range. This can use the context because it will be called from the main AI script. Begin waiting script, if not already waiting. Shouldn't that be up here? So guide begin waiting. Technically, yeah, it's in that order. Okay, an abort script. Let's call that like guide abort. Okay. That's probably all I need because the rest of what a guiding is doing is really just traveling around. And the wait is a step before the traveling takes a step just to make sure that the client is still in range. Yeah, so this ought to work. So now I've broken it down into 4 elementary pieces. Let's write some unit test cases, use cases, whatever you want to call it, to demonstrate what these are expected to do. What do we want guide start to do? I guess we need to record who the client is. And set up the checkpoints. Does that mean in addition to client entity, we'll want the checkpoints? I think so. Sure. Checkpoints. Okay, so then guides, so start would be start guiding a client along a sequence of checkpoints. Or through a sequence of checkpoints. All right. I just stopped to think, what if, like, George is supposed to guide us to this intersection and then ask us a serious question like, do you follow the Knights Radiant? You know, from, I've been reading the Stormlight archives, and that's in there. And like, if you say no, maybe he attacks you. If you say yes, then he maybe opens a secret door and leads you in. So that kind of complication would mean that probably we want to have a guide to that spot, then trigger a dialogue, and then if you say the correct answer, then it would trigger another script which would possibly start a second guiding. So that means stuff like complicated scripts that happen on checkpoints would be split into separate guide sequences, so we don't have to worry about it here. Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. Because I was thinking, like, what if I wanted to include, like, running a subroutine, like a custom subroutine on every checkpoint? That might be a little messy and would interfere with how the traveling system works. Traveling system is actually, I should show you guys that. That's pretty basic. Travel. Here it is. So start traveling is really just check the checkpoints and put them into the NPC's travel attribute, which is new. And then stop is basically to clear the travel attribute. And then travel continue is the bulk of the work. It basically says, if we are at the next checkpoint, then form the new travel list from the old one, popping the first one off. That's why we start at 2. So just drop the first checkpoint off. If there are no more checkpoints, then actually, it should actually just be calling NPC travel stop, shouldn't it? Oh no, this is to, if you explicitly stop outside of the NPC script. Otherwise, this is the normal way to stop. If there is a next checkpoint, then it sets that next checkpoint, and that next checkpoint is is pursued with a special pursuit ID of travel, which is used elsewhere. Stormlight Archives is good, but he's not going to finish it for another 10 to 20 years, apparently. He's coming out with book 4 this year, but he's planned 10 books, and it takes like 2 years per book. So there's at least like 12 more years to wait. But yeah, I think the books are really good. It's written by Brandon Sanderson, and he's the one who finished the Wheel of Time series when the original author died. Brandon was brought in by the guy's family, I think his wife specifically, to help finish the Wheel of Time series, and he did an okay job, I thought. And yeah, he has his own series of fantasy books, and they all revolve around the same systems of magic, and so it's kind of cool. They have characters that appear in multiple book series with slightly different names, but you're like, oh, it's that guy from that other book. So it's kind of cool there. Anyway, that was a totally random aside. Hey there, Romania. Hey, how are you doing? And I need to mark that I've already said hi to Nui because I did that before I started my stream helper. There we go. All right, so anyway, the travel system is pretty basic. It almost fits in one page, and we're going to be leveraging that. The travel system is really just telling the NPC to start pursuing checkpoints when we get to the previous checkpoint, right? Or if we're not already traveling. thinking if you want to use TypeScript for a new React Native app, why not? For me, the reason why not would only be that if I feel like I haven't gotten enough expertise in JavaScript. Otherwise, sure, why not? Why not pick up something more type safe? You moving faster without JavaScript? Oh, with plain JavaScript. Yeah. Okay, I get it. I guess the question you have to answer is it that you want to learn TypeScript or get faster at TypeScript, or do you really just want to get the new project done? In that case, maybe not TypeScript because they're faster with plain JavaScript. I would only do it to learn TypeScript. I haven't yet bought into the arguments about the type safety and all that stuff. Then again, I don't do very complicated things in JavaScript yet. It slows things down, feels self-explanatory. I guess I don't know enough about it. It just feels like TypeScript is good if you really care about type safety and you want to catch bugs that are in not getting the right arguments in the right order to the right functions. But I guess you have to ask yourself, is that the kind of bug that you see a lot? If not, then you're picking up a tool whose main purpose you don't really need. Or another reason you might pick it up is maybe it helps make the code more self-documenting because it helps the reader know what each of the arguments and variables mean. The type sort of decorates the variables to explain what they're used for. Then ask yourself, how often do people read the code? Are you the solo developer and do you already know all these things? Or do you already have comments or something else to refer to? Then maybe TypeScript's not really doing much for you. What you don't want to do, I think, is just pick it up and blindly use it because someone told you that it's good. I think you should have more reasons. Like, what are you gaining from it? Are you getting more out of it than you're putting into it? Is it more efficient? Is it reducing the number of bugs? Like, not just possibility of reducing bugs, but is it really reducing the number of bugs or not? And for some of those could be hard to answer until you've actually done a trial where you try it out for a while, and then try out not using it and compare the two experiences somehow. And you'd have to take careful notes about how many bugs you run into, how fast were you in writing the code, how well was the code written in the end, and a total scientific study to know because you're going to be different from everyone else. There could be many factors that make it better for you to do in plain JavaScript. Maybe for some reason it's just your code doesn't look as nice in TypeScript than your plain JavaScript. PhD thesis? Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it. All right. Start guiding a client through a sequence of checkpoints. So if the act is NPC guide start, it doesn't really matter what entity number I use. The client entity doesn't matter. Let's get some constants for this. NPC entity is 42. Local client entity is 16. Let's just, now it's maybe a little bit easier to read, especially if I put them on their own lines. And then checkpoints. Let's arrange that here too. Checkpoints is, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. How about 10, -7, and then 15, 2. Checkpoints. So what do we expect? I expect that should have set some things modified for the NPC. I'm going to take some of the test framework I did for travel, this stuff, where we're mocking the modify component delta function. We're going to expect that gets used to queue up some changes to the game. And those changes are going to reflect that the NPC's component has changed, the entity's NPC entity, and the delta, let's put that on its own line, would be that, actually, that should call travel start, shouldn't it? So I need to mock travel start as well. Travel start is a function that takes that. Let's rename this deltas to be changes or effects, side effects. There we go, side effects. And then we can add, oh, I'm being raided. Mr. Halsey, how's your Rust-based MMORPG doing? Hi, thank you for the raid. Did you guys know that Mr. Halsey, who you should check out on his stream, he's making an MMO server in Rust? My goodness. So he's part of my Rust command now. I need to check out one of your streams. You're usually, like, streaming when I can't watch Twitch, apparently, because I haven't been able to catch your stream. Got the TCP stream multiplexing thing. Oh, cool. Nice. That's important for an MMO, especially. Oh, I kind of envy other developers sometimes because they know things I don't know. And they have time that I don't have time for. Like, I'd love to watch and learn more Rust. Just don't have the, I just have too many things to do. Okay, the side effects of NPC travel start called will be, let's put something in here. Type equals modify component. And this would be type equals travel start. Sure. Is each dot in front of code spaces? Oh, yeah, these are spaces. So that's something you can, that I set up in preferences for VS Code. It's editor, render, whitespace. So I think the default is none. So now it's just like the default. You can't see them. The other settings you can do are all, which you were just seeing before, and there's also boundary. Boundary will show them only for the beginning and ending of the line, but none of the spaces in the middle of lines, like there. So we're not seeing a dot there. And then there's a newer one I hadn't seen before called selection, and that, it doesn't show dots unless you put your selection over it. I like all because in the past I've worked in teams where people were kind of sloppy about mixing tabs and spaces. And in that case, you can see where there's a tab accidentally somewhere where there should be spaces. And yeah, I just feel better knowing what is in my white space now. Hey there, Irish John Gaming. Ooh, that's a new emote. Irish J what? That's cool. I like that. And then you got the user 335 howdy emote. Nice. So hello, Irish John, and also hello, Naleth. Yeah, so yeah, just explaining what the dots are here. Again, that is editor, render white space, all. Oh, Irish J Heart. I hadn't seen that one either. I like that one. Skull and crossbones and a black heart. So I'm just writing up the use case test for when we're starting to guide a player through a sequence of checkpoints as an NPC. So this is called mocking, where we take functions that are supposed to be called by the thing we're testing, and instead of doing the actual thing in the game, we just record what we would have done, what it's actually supposed to be doing, so that later, after we do the thing we're testing, we can make sure that, yeah, it did what we expected it to do. So that I need to include this new thing, type modify component here, right? Let's indent it. Why not? It's nice and indented now. Okay. That's perfectly fine, Mr. Halsey. Enjoy your coffee. Bit of TDD, that's right. Did you notice that it's test-driven development in a scripting language? That's how crazy I am. I made my own test runner called Moon Unit, which makes the tests look like Google tests, and then I combine that with this Google test runner extension that works along with Test Explorer UI to show my tests in this little panel here, so that as soon as it's done refreshing under Lua here, actually it also puts a bar here, I can find that actual test and run it. And then show the test results. The difficulty in understanding this is my fault, and that's because this Moon Unit test runner isn't quite perfect in describing what errors are. What it's saying is on line 54 here, this expectation is failing, and the when path blank means that at the top level of this, that the actual value is missing this entry. So basically it says side effects is empty. So a cleaner way of this would be expectation failed, side effects is empty. I used to have a coding day job, Irish John, for 24 years, and that's part of my coding journey. And I went freelance because they had massive layoffs, and I got swept up in that. And I decided, hey, this is my opportunity to try to strike out on my own. And within like 6 months, I realized, what I really want to do is actually get some time and maybe finish one of my bucket list lifelong goals, which was to take the ideas from games I love to play, like Ultima 4 and 5, and make my own game. So this reminds me strongly of like Ultima 4 and 5, where it's tile-based 2D pixel art, and the graphics are primitive because this is how games were back in the 90s, and I've always wanted to make my own version of that. So that's what you're seeing me doing. That's my new day job. It had shrouded the avatar. I heard about it, but I never got into that one. I played all of the Ultimas except for Ultima 8, which I skipped, and I don't remember why. And then Ultima 9 was a horrible travesty, but I played it anyway. I doggedly went through that game because I knew it would be the last in the series. And there's multiple spin-offs of the Ultima series, and I didn't get into all of them. I played a little bit of the first-person, what was it, Ultima Underworld or whatever it was called. But never finished it. Kind of got caught up in other games at that point. All right, anyway, let me finish writing this test case. So when we want guide start to set up... Actually, I don't actually want it to do that, do I? I want it to call travel start. I think I must have copied this from somewhere else. That's where I got it. So this is not what we want to do. I wanted to modify guiding and set that to the client entity. And then second side effect that I want to expect is the type travel start. And let's record the entity and the checkpoints. We're deep copying them so that if they're modified after this travel start is called, it won't mess up what we record in the side effects. So this would be entity, again, is NPC entity, and checkpoints is checkpoints from the outer, from the test framework. That's what we expect to show up in the travel start function. All right. So this test, of course, is going to fail because there are no side effects. That's what that means. Because I haven't actually written that function yet. Here it is. It is empty. So, having the test as our guide, if it's saying we should be calling that, then let's do it. Modify component delta entity component type delta. So entity is NPC entity, type is NPC, delta is going to be guiding is client entity. Aw, thank you, Irish John. You know what was interesting? I was working at the last company for so long that it took me well over a year to get adjusted to not having a day-to-day job at a bigger company. And I didn't even realize it. I thought after a couple months, oh, I've adjusted. But it really, really didn't. And the way I finally figured out when I was really starting to get adjusted to it was I no longer felt guilty about not having that job. Went through like over a year of guilt that, you know, something is wrong because I'm not actually driving to that office and working on the projects there. And when it finally started wearing off after a year, I'm like, oh, that's where all that guilt was coming from. It was from that last job. So now I'm finally getting over that, I think. And it's really nice not to have that weight of guilt that I couldn't place for like such a long time. Hey there, Guted. Yeah. And that's one thing I've learned, that the longer you're doing something, the harder it is to get adjusted to not doing it when things change. Probably would be the same like if you lived in the same house for 20 years and you had to move. You'd probably feel really bad for like a long time that you're no longer living there. Self-doubt, guilt can be a real pain. Yeah, it can. And I didn't realize this, but you can have it and not know it. It could just be some kind of weight on you and you're like, I don't know why I feel this bad. And then after a few months, you look back and you're like, I think I felt bad because I hadn't yet adjusted to the changes. Still having that guilt yourself? So I think the first step in getting better about it is either realizing you have it or retrospectively seeing that you have it after you lose it naturally. Like it'll naturally like leave you. It just might take longer if what you're adjusting to was something that was a very long-term thing. All right, so we want to do travel start. NPC travel start. NPC entity. And then this is just the checkpoints, right? So if it's that easy, then we've passed this test and we can move on. Yes, it is. So let's move on. Next test, I want to test if the guide is in range. So I'm not going to start from scratch here because this is a little bit harder. I'm going to steal what I did for aggro because that had some similar stuff in there. Right, a whole bunch of mock entities to use in finding the client. Actually, it's not these ones. It's check, isn't it? Here it is. And do we care about... Actually, I'm not going to cache it at all. I'm not going to bother caching it. At least not yet. So that means that we'll take this as is, pull it over here. Oh, I didn't put the outside of it. So let's put an outside. We need one of those. And one of these. Okay, now what are we doing? In range. Let's say client in range and client not in range. So this is supposed to return a Boolean, right? So determine that the client being guided is still within range. All right, so we're going to have like a client entity. Get rid of this stuff. Client entity needs to have a position. And that position should be within range of the guide. So I think what I'm going to do is just to make it easier, I am going to make a copy of the position of the guide and put it here. Context dot position. So if the player that we're guiding is here and the NPC, I want to make sure the NPC is in range. There are a couple of variables we need actually. Context.npc. Let's call it guide range. And let's make it 3. So within 3 squares of that. Yeah, so that's within 3 squares of that, right? That's right within range. So this is all of the mock machinery to handle a search for the areas that the NPC could reach near them, and we need to make sure that the center is there, and then where the client is also in the list. So 5, 4, so 5, -4 should be the first entry with a distance of 0. Hey there, Steampunk Devil. How are you doing? And then we want to include positions up to and including where the client is. So this is really just simulating. This is typically what it would look like in the actual game. These are the coordinates of the position. These are the coordinates of the previous position, and it's the same for the origin, because this doesn't matter. And then this is the distance. So 5, -5 is 1 square away from 5, -4, and the previous step is 5, -4. 5, -6 is 2 squares away. The previous step is 5, -5. So you can, it's like breadcrumb trails back to the starting point. That's built into the search results. So we're simulating search results that if we search from here, tell me all the places we can reach within 3 steps, we might get back this kind of list. And we're testing to make sure that since we listed 5, -7 in that list, and that's where the client is, that the client should still be marked within range. How do script calls work? How do you connect them? I can show you that. Scripts can be called in, calls can go in either of 2 directions. You could be going from the game engine to the scripts, or you can be going from the scripts back into the game engine. When the game engine calls the scripts, let me show you one example of that. That would be in components, invoke systems. So this is the master function inside the game engine that distributes game events throughout all of the game systems. They're broken up into 2 categories. The game systems that are hard-coded into the engine are all listed here. There is this systems table. And where is that? It's maybe not in this file. Where would I find that? Not in Lua. I'll find it in a second. I want to see where it is again. I guess it would be rendering would be part of there. Yeah. Well, it's declared. Where is it defined? Rendering system. Okay, now I really want to find it because I can't find it. Declare system. What the heck? How come I can't find this stuff right today? Hold on. There should be a table around here somewhere with the systems. Rendering. If it's not this one, where would it be then? What? Oh, I mean, let's not do match whole word. That would help. Here it is. Here are the game systems built into the game engine in C++, right? So the dialogue system, look, movement, rendering. The rendering system is a really important one because that's what gives all the information to the front end to what to draw here. So anyway, a lot of the game systems are in C++ and they're invoked from there. But right here. But then a lot of the game systems are in Lua, and so it goes through the script host invoke systems. And what this does is this is the jump from C++ into Lua. The way you do it is through Lua's API. So you can set up the stack for Lua, and then ultimately you're going to do a Lua protected call. It's protected in case that if it throws an exception, we don't want to crash the server. We want to catch it as an error message, right? That's all what this stuff does. So this Lua protected call is going to call the function that we have fetched from this global variable in Lua called systems. And that is going to then call other Lua functions. And ultimately, it's going to go into the NPC's AI system because it's hooked in this way. And it's going to have all the NPCs act. And then, you know, it filters all the way down to the stuff that we're doing here. And it's all in Lua. But yeah, that's how it gets called, is through a Lua P call, ultimately somewhere in the code. So the other direction how you call C++ from Lua, like maybe a callback, is we can register when we set up Lua in our engine. We can register these metatables and objects with metatables. So I made when the game sets itself up, it makes a new metatable called game, and it also establishes that as a global at some point. Oh, somewhere else. So at some point, we're going to make a global variable called game that has the game metatable, and this metatable has entries in it which are C functions. So this is the general way you'd attach them. You give it a name, then you push a pointer to a function, and you put that into the metatable. Then in the Lua code itself, for example, the move has like this game with entities at position. When that function call is made in Lua, Lua will find it as a C function, and so you'll end up jumping right here. And then all of these are entry points from Lua back into C++, and they also use the Lua API, but it's more of like, instead of calling someone, you've been called, and so you check what your arguments are, you do stuff, and then you might return stuff back to Lua. So hopefully that gives you a really high level, hopefully insightful view about how script calls work. Good. Tired though. Been rearranging an office all day and have to do it tomorrow. Wow. Well, you'll feel good when you're done with that, I'm sure. And I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. It's not so much big as there's quite a bit of wiring to do. Okay. Definitely more complex. It might look complex because I'm doing a bunch of other things at the same time. Fundamentally, where can I find the most fundamental part of this? Fundamentally, this is how you start a Lua interpreter in a host program. You create a state for Lua, and then this is connecting the standard libraries, and then you have a state you can use the API from then on and let it run. And it runs whenever you call it, basically. And then when you're done, you call Lua close. The P call. So this is how you load a script into the Lua interpreter. There's a bunch of things that are optional. Like this is setting up a traceback function to give you a nice error message with a full stack trace if something were to go wrong. Lua load runs the parser, so it turns the script string into bytecode for Lua. And then once it's packaged as a chunk, I think they call it, or a block of executable Lua bytecode, then pcall executes it, just like if it was a function. So yeah, pcall can execute either a function or a chunk of stuff you just loaded. Either way, it's fine. But yeah, the pcall, again, is a protected call, so if there's an error, you can fetch the error message. And this leverages this traceback to give you a nice stack trace if you want it. This case, I'm not doing anything with the results if it's not an error. But down here in evaluate, I do it where after loading and doing the pcall, if it's okay, then this is how you extract your arguments. stuff like get top will tell you how many return values you got, and then you I use my own wrapper to convert it to JSON, but you could just use the Lua APIs directly to extract the variables that were returned by the Lua function. But yeah, that's the general flow of it. It probably looks more complicated for two reasons. One is that the Lua API being stacked base can be kind of tedious in that you have all these calls like insert and push, and there's probably a pop. Set top is like pop everything. There's a lot of pushes, a lot of pops because you're dealing with a stack. Lua is like everything in Lua is surrounding the stack. Stack-based language, just like PostScript actually. And the other complication here is I'm doing a lot of things in one place. So I'm both loading scripts. I'm also injecting extra variables at the time for context, and we're also making a function call. We're also handling the results. We're handling error messages. We're doing cleanup of the variables that is set up over here. So I have a bad habit of sort of putting everything into one monster function. If I were to go refactor this, I'd probably pull stuff like this. This should be pulled out as a separate function, and this would go with it. Actually, optimally, this would be the cleanup for this. So I would use RAII in some way. I'd like put an object on the stack that does this, and then its destructor do this. Other things like handling these kinds of errors could be in a separate function. You get the idea. So splitting up the code into smaller functions would make it easier to read, and it wouldn't look so complex. That's okay, Steambug Devil. I think I got the gist of it. So yeah, simpler examples you can find online if you just look up how do I embed Lua into a program. Okay, we want to see that the client is within range. We put the client there. We put the NPC there. This is how we simulate a search for reachable places. And this search is what we expect. What do I expect for the max cost? That should be the guide range. Yeah. Owner is the NPC entity. Right. And we're not going to simulate the cache because I'm not actually going to cache it. Still intermediate lesson programming? Yeah, it could look complex because of that you're still learning this stuff. Yeah. It also could be that you're not familiar with Lua. Things can look more complex than they really are just because you're not familiar with the syntax. Although Lua syntax is one of the easier syntaxes to learn, if you don't know it, it can be kind of confusing. I don't need any of this stuff, so deleting that. So we're not doing this, we're doing... So in range will be NPC guide in range context. So we expect true for that. And that's all I expect, right? So there we go. That's my test case. Don't know it fully yet. You'll never know it. You'll never know programming fully, or you'll never know any one thing in programming fully. I find myself constantly learning new things about things I thought I knew. And also the programming languages and programming techniques, they're always constantly evolving. People are discovering new and better ways to do things. Right. Expected nil to be true because right now the function doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't return anything, so that means it'll be nil. So we need to do a search. Let me model it after aggro. This search up here, right here. And once again, I'm using a cost function that's really the same, right? So I'd like to extract that cost function out eventually. Do we want to do debug tiles? I guess we will. So that means I need this cost function. I hate having to copy paste this. I do want the same cost function as aggro. I'm going to definitely refactor this out at some point, but for now, I'm just copy pasting it. So use the same cost function as we do for aggro searches. So we're finding positions in the zone that the NPC is in, around where the NPC currently is. We're using this cost function. The range will be guide range. This will be guide. And what do we want to record in the context? Just the zone? Actually, this doesn't matter. I'm going to just leave that out, because that's only used for caches. In fact, in the test, we're going to not even expect anything for extra. Yeah, let's just drop all that. We don't care about that. Hey there, I play poker badly. Long time no see, right? And Manes, what an absolute beast. I know. He's kind of snoozing on the edge of his little cat tower, isn't he? The beast. Okay. So we're running the test again. Not running the test again. I'm not done writing it. So we should find those places, and then I need to do an index of, and that's not in here, is it? Shoot. Where do we do that? I do that in Wander. Let me look at it. Wander test would do it. Let me find it. No, not Wander. Anchor. That's right, Anchor. Index of... There we go. Yeah, I need this stuff. In the guide test. Should be a comma there. All right, so this is... We'll expect that they might call this to look up the index in this list based off of these positions. So I need to have these, like 5, 4 would return 1. And we're going to have a bunch of else ifs, aren't we? Else if it's 5, return 2, 2 more. 6 and 7, 3 and 4. Return 0. There we go. Uh-oh. Is there a new horrible Twitch ad for Sonic the Hedgehog? Does it really spoil your day? Is it that bad? I'm sorry to hear that. Alright, so we're going to find those reachable places and then check the index. So local client index is search index of... I need to get the client position, don't I? And index of takes an X and a Y, so position X, position Y, and that needs to be inside of a game with entity component of type function position. Position of the context.npc.guiding. Guiding is where we're stashing the entity identifier of the player that we're guiding. So here's where we're looking up the player's position and then finding it in the search results. So that means I'm going to want to record it here. Is in range. Code phobia! Wow. I'm being rated by Code phobia. That's cool. How are you doing, Code phobia? Full Stack Life, hello? How's your stream, Code phobia? Hope it went well. I am working on the scripts for my game's NPCs, so it's sort of a rewrite. Here's what my game looks like. If you've never been here before, check out this short video. Or if you really want to just jump in and try it out yourself, there's the link. You gotta run. Okay, see ya. Have a good day, Cophobia. TGIF. Enjoy your weekend. So this is a test environment for my game. My game is using a custom game engine I'm building up. This is a MUD, which is an old school multiplayer online game that's mostly going to be text-based, although there's a little bit of graphics. And since it's a custom engine, I'm still building it up. So one of the things I'm building up and hopefully finishing today is a rewrite of the Lua scripts which drive my game's NPCs. Oh, and my cat heard about the raid, and now he is sitting up and looking towards the kitchen. Hey there, Primogen. How are you today? Look at that lovely silver gear that you have next to your badges. I was watching the Primogen last night. So entertaining. You guys should check out the Primogen. Also, check out Cophobia. If you really want to get deep into web stuff, Cophobia is the stream to watch, I think. So, yeah. I hope to get this done this stream, but maybe not. We'll see. I am working on the logic to where this NPC named George, his name is obscured, but his name is George, and I want my player standing here next to him to be able to say, I want help. Would you like me to lead you to the other chamber? Yes. Right now it's going to be broken. He's not actually going to do it. I want to leverage the travel script I worked on yesterday to have him lead me out to another area of the dungeon, and then while he's leading me, if I don't follow, he should stop and say, hey, come on, I'm waiting for you. And then when you get close enough, he will resume his walk. So I'm building off of the script, like I said, I was working on yesterday. Let me demonstrate that script. So I have a travel script for him right now set up. If I set up if I remember these coordinates, 0, 13, 4, 6, right? If I inject into here travel 0, 13, comma, 4, 6, and then back to negative 310, add that and submit. There he goes. He's on his way. He should pathfind now to this, and then that's a checkpoint, and after reaching here, he should go over to up to here, and then when he's done here, he should pathfind back to here. Hey there, Proto-Poly. So he's reaching the first checkpoint, now he's going to the second checkpoint. So this is the travel state and script collection for NPCs, and I got that working yesterday, and I'm augmenting that now to have NPCs that can act as guides. So in addition to walking these checkpoints, the NPC will stop and wait for a player if they get too far away, and then maybe when they reach the final checkpoint, it would launch a custom script, like the NPC could say, okay, now we've reached the destination, tell me the secret password or I'm going to kill you. And if you say the correct word, then it would launch a different script, maybe to lead you somewhere else. So, oh, the cat left. Goodbye, kitty. I didn't even hear him jump off. He's that silent sometimes. Cat's gonna have alpha channel. Cat opacity 0. He just faded into the background. I didn't actually see it, so it might have happened. Watching the Primogen is much more entertaining than watching Netflix. I thought watching Primogen, you are watching a Netflix engineer. Isn't that the same thing? All right, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. It's sort of deep technical stuff, so if you look at this, it probably won't make any sense. This is the function I'm trying to build up that will tell me true or false. Is the player that we're guiding in range of the guide NPC? It is going to ask the game, find me all the places that the NPC can reach within the range of the guide. And then it's going to say, using the position of the player that we're guiding, find the index of that position within our search results. And if we find something, if the client index is truthy, then is in range is true. And might as well start off to be false. And then we're going to return that, right? So now, only if we get into here will we be returning true. We only get into here if the player has a position and we can find their position in the search results of this function here. Searching all the places in the game that the NPC could reach within guide range steps, and this is their position in the world, using a cost function, so we can actually weight going one direction versus another if like there's difficult terrain, for example. And so a lot of this is building off of other work that I've done in the past. So like if you don't know what find reachable places is, I can explain it to you, but I've been building this stuff up for the last year, so there's a lot of stuff here. It's truthy. Yeah, you never heard of that? That's if you say equals true, then you're being explicit. It has to be the value true. It can't be 1. It can't be a pointer that's not nil. But if you leave off that part, then it's like, okay, it could be 1, it could be true, it could be a non-null pointer. All of those things are truthy. And of course, the opposite of that is falsy. The Boolean operator not doesn't actually require its argument to be a Boolean in Lua. It's very loose. It could be an integer, it could be a pointer, it could be a lot of things. But as long as it's not truthy, then it will not of that will return false. So sometimes you'll hear developers say truthy, falsy. It's the loose version of the true-false test. Can we start calling it truthy? If you want to. On your project, you're the boss. So if you want to call it truthy, you can call it truthy. Looks like I have an abundance of light for my filter, and it's making me look bluish. Oh well. I've been infected by the bluish bug. I don't know if Trimogen is still here, but he was having problems with his camera. I wonder if I'll have the same. If I show a white thing, yeah, look at that. The camera white balance is off. Oh well. You hate it? Yeah. I just kind of live with it. I try not to be a perfectionist because I'm too much of a perfectionist in everything else. All right. Yeah, so I guess I am blue today. Also, my hair is kind of messed up. What's going on with my hair? Is my hair trying to... Oh, well. Who cares? Anyway. That should pass this first test now, right? No. Aggro store... Oh, right. That needs to be empty mock for that. So, up here somewhere, I guess, would be fine. Provide empty mocks for side effects we don't care about. So that is a function. That's all I don't care. It's just a function, all right? And then let's run them again. Probably want to refresh to get the line numbers correct. And then run them again. All right, so what's going on now? Expected false to be true, so it's falsy, not truthy. So it thinks it's not in range. But it did pass all these other checks, right? X is 5, Y is -7. Position of client entity. It should have returned 3. Could it be that needs to be a 4? No, that's not it. Okay, so I messed up something else. Okay, what could it be? With the position... Oh, that... We didn't set the guiding. That's the problem. Client entity is not actually connected until we say context NPC guiding is the client entity. There we go. Fixed it. All right. I get nervous when tests fail and I don't know why. Is it just me? Probably not. Determine that the client being guided is out of range. Client out of range. So I will just subtly shift the client entity to another coordinate that's not in our results. And then I will expect this to be false. Run that, and it didn't pass. It thinks it's in range. Okay, why? 5, -8 is nowhere in that list. Oh, it's returning 0. So I can't, 0 is not falsy, is it? 0 is truthy in Lua. It's one of those little things that gets me. So let's double check that. Lua, if 0, then print pog. End. So you didn't expect that, did you? You thought that it would be the same as if I said if false, then print pog, which doesn't do it. So now we've learned that 0 is truthy in Lua. I don't think there's any other language where 0 is truthy. So that means I have to be careful in here. I have to actually say that it's greater than 0. Assuming that this always returns an integer, I should probably verify that by going to components, the real index of, and seeing what does it actually return. Yeah, it returns either 0 or an integer, so it's always returning an integer, so we can be safely conclude that we can compare it with an integer, and then 0 is what we're going to compare it to. Every other language, 0 is falsy, except for Lua. Why is that? Who knows? Alright, so we've tested... Let's collapse some of these things. So I don't have to do so much scrolling. I've tested start, client in range, out of range. What's next? Waiting and abort, I guess? Yeah, alright, let's do it. Begin waiting for the client being guided. Begin waiting. Begin waiting. Arrange, act, assert. Part of this arrangement will need to have this defined, these defined. The fact that we're guiding them. The act will be NPC guide, begin waiting. Context. And what should we expect? Expect equal... I think what I want to do is set a timeout for the wait based off of the time. So let's copy this down to here. Context.time. You, for one, want to congratulate Ireland and welcome them into the technological age. That implies that they weren't in the technological age before and something happened to bring them into the technological age, and that I think I missed. I missed a chat from someone. I see my stream helper is telling me about that. I missed... Oh, one pocket pimp. The beast has awoken, run! I think the beast went to go drink some water. I just heard the water bowl. Glub, glub, glub. Begin waiting. What do we expect? I expect... Actually, it doesn't... The context time doesn't matter. It's context time plus... the patience of the NPC. We should set that like context.npc.wait time. For context... So let's put this on separate lines. The sum of those two is what I expect for context delta NPC guide wait timeout, I guess. Wait timeout, sure. All right, so we did not define wait time, so let's add that. Thank you for that follow. Wait time. It doesn't really matter. How about 5? All right. So this won't work because that begin waiting is an empty function. So it's going to fail. So using this as a guide, no pun intended, if it expects this to happen, then that's what we're going to do. NPC delta, no, what am I thinking? Context delta NPC dot wait timeout is context NPC, well, context time plus context NPC wait time. Easy peasy. Guide abort. Right now, let's just have abort. Stop. So clear, we'll just have it clear some of the variables. We'll clear the wait timeout and we'll clear the guiding field. Yeah. So abruptly stop guiding the client. Stop. Abort. Abort. I'm not using the LUP framework. I'm using a custom framework. So the Lua that you're seeing are a collection of scripts that are loaded into my game's engine. And I was just showing that before. Lua, it was in script host. Lua close. So this is how I pull Lua into my custom engine. So Love or Love 3D are, it's an entire framework of game dev tools that use Lua. I'm just using Lua to supplement my game engine, which is mostly written in C++. So I just make a Lua interpreter with the standard libraries and connect in the ECS and adaptation layer for JSON into that. And the component system linkage here allows my Lua scripts to call back into the game engine to do things like doing pathfinding. Where's the most important one? The feedback. Where's feedback? Feedback. So feedback will tell the game to make changes, that kind of thing. But yeah, most of my engine is custom in C++. It looks like this to a client. For example, just to demonstrate the entity component system, if I click on this water tile, a water tile has a tile component and a position in the game. Whereas one of these monsters here has both a tile position and some character components, some capabilities, some other things. So the more complex an object is in my game, the more components it has. And the mix of components tells you what the thing is. So if it has an NPC and a character component, it's a monster. If we've got character but a player component instead, then it's a player character. If there's a container component and an item, it's both something you possibly could pick up, and it also has other items within it. An ordinary item on the ground would have item component and a position and a tile. An item that's in your inventory would have an item and a tile but no position in the world. So stuff like that. So right now my game engine is heavily JSON based, so all of the data is stored in JSON elements. And the way my scripts interact with the game are through this JSON wrapper, which provides the meaning for a null value for JSON, and it also has ways to convert data between Lua and JSON. This from Lua converts Lua things into JSON things, and the push Lua is the opposite. It takes a JSON object and pushes the Lua equivalent on the Lua stack. So a lot of my game scripts will see these game components as Lua tables, and can both read them and then request them to be written back. Hey there, Tua Bud. And also, hello, XGeoCrick. Thank you for that question. Pardon the newbie question, but what's with the colon? The colon is in C++. It's how you separate parts of a namespace. So standard string, the namespace is std, the standard library, and string is a type that's defined within the standard library. Usually a namespace will either be matching a whole library, or it'll be a class or other kind of data type. So for example, JSON is a library namespace. JSON value is the value class within the JSON library. Type is a subclass, or not a subclass. Type is a enumerated value type defined within the value class. So there's class value, enum class type. So the colon is usually, the thing on the left is either a namespace or a class or a structure, and the thing on the right is either another namespace, class, or structure, or at the very end it'll be a value or a type that's not a namespace. Yeah, so it's like periods in C#. Exactly, you got it. You always have to absolute namespace. No, but I like to do that because I hate the idea of mixing namespaces by accident. It's a personal preference thing. A lot of people will do something like using namespace std, and then they don't have to have the std : anymore. Perfectly fine. Your mileage may vary, whatever suits you. I like to be explicit in the names in most places. Sometimes it gets ridiculously long and I'll start to do the using trick, but I try to do it sparingly because the using namespace, for example, if you had like using namespace A and using namespace B, and inside of namespace A and B you had something called like class foo. Let's say you did that, then what is a foo? Is it from A or B? Who knows? This would be a problem, right? Because you've collapsed A and B into the global namespace, and now you've mixed A foo and B foo together. So if you did that, and it's like, okay, I know it's from namespace A now, right? Even if you mix them, you can still do that. Or you can just not mix them at all, and it's very clear. So just my personal preference is to be very clear about where namespaces everything comes from. Look at all that JSON, that's right. Is there a using as? Don't think so, but they might have added that in C++ 17 or 20. I'm still on C++ 11 right now. That's right. Someone was it you, Primogen? Or was it... No, it was someone else. Someone asked me, how am I storing all the data in my game? And I said, in one monster JSON object. And they're like, oh, no way. And I'm like, yeah, it works. And then people were starting to make fun of me. It was you? Yeah. So I can show the test environment. That won't leak anything, right? Let me think about this. It might leak something. But I could show, for example, my character's data. I don't want to leak it. I don't want to leak stuff. What if I download it? Where's the download button? It's right over here. Download my data. Actually, no. I don't want to leak stuff by accident. Even from the test environment, it could leak stuff, right? Yeah, that's not. What can I show? I know what I'll do. I will, for example, hold on. Turn off the screen for a second. Then I'm gonna go to the game snapshot and make sure I can show it, and then turn my screen back on. So here's the monster JSON file. How many lines does it have? 9,673 lines. This is the entire state of the test environment. It's one JSON object. So one huge part of the... this didn't leak anything. Nope. Good. One monster part of the game is the entity component system. And then another big thing is the configuration for the game. And then there's metrics and other stuff. But yeah, it's one huge JSON object. And within, so this is within the entity component system. Here are all the character components. So that's my character. This is George here. I happen to know, I've memorized these numbers. 523 is my character. 3330 is George. So that's where the hit points are stored. So it just goes on and on. And right now it's okay because the amount of data is small. But let's say as people start playing the game and I have 100 different people playing, we could easily get into the hundreds of thousands of lines of JSON, and it would probably get slow. So at some point, yeah, it's test salt, yeah. At some point, I'm probably going to want to migrate all this stuff from JSON to a binary structure. I've set things up so that the way data is marshaled, it's all through one set of things. So, for example, all the game commands, I would find them here. Come on, IntelliSense, you can do it. So if I were to go like here, right now how we encode is JSON, right? But I could easily change this to a binary format, and then just the meaning of encode would change. Probably the return value would change. I'll probably transition by having, like, in addition to the normal encode to JSON, there would be an encode binary, and then we would start using that more and more, and we would use the JSON less and less until we fully migrated it over. But the way things are converted between this in-memory representation and the external right now is all delegated to these individual little bits that would be what I would go and I'm having trouble navigating here. These little bits would be where I would address all of the changes, but the higher level components in the game don't really care how we store it. Hey there, Apollo I and Tropical Banana Man. How are you doing? And C17R, welcome program. Oh, that's right, C17R. It was Alt F4 stream. He's the one who was really floored when I said I store all my data right now as one massive JSON object. Yeah, I remember that. He was really floored by that. It's true. Yeah. So not only is all the game data stored as one JSON object, all of the as we're this is as game actions are actually happening. Each of these is a JSON object, and then the data that goes over the wire here, if I were to show that, it's also a bunch of JSON objects. Bunch of JSON objects. See that? Oh, it looks like I got an error. Oh, because we're still working on the script. So where's the important one here? Yeah, here, the sprites. How all of the graphics are encoded is one monster JSON object with 285 sprites in here. Each sprite is basically what tile set to pull from, what tile to put, and where to draw it on the screen. And then tile sets are another beast. So tile set 47 is the background, tile 4 would be the ground. So 47.4 would be draw a ground tile somewhere. You get the idea. Right now, it's all on disk when the server's not running, and then all in memory when it is. But it's constantly saving to disk in that journal as part of the cluster, the fault tolerance, the consensus algorithm, the every change to the game is written to this game journal, and occasionally it's wrapped up into that snapshot again as in a background thread. But yeah, it's still all JSON right now. When it's on disk, and in memory, some of it's in JSON and some of it's not. But yeah, it's either all in memory or all on disk, depending on if the server's running. Actually, that's the wrong way to describe it. When the server's running, there's a copy in memory always, and then we're keeping the disk copy up to date as we go. There we go. Yeah, I'm just a crazy person having everything in JSON right now. It's incredibly useful for debugging, though. Where was I? Oh, that's a no change. I was working on this, right? The abort. Well, thank you for that follow. run that. Okay, I hadn't filled this in yet, did I? Right, so this should be abort. And I expect a null for context delta NPC guiding, as well as wait timeout. That's what I expect. So run that. Hi, GD Zada. I am using Linux for the server that in the production. So if I were to like go to the production environment here, I'll put a link there. The server backend for this is in Linux, yes. When I'm developing though, it's all in Windows because I am more comfortable on Windows. So now the server in my local environment that we're seeing, it's in Windows. So I try to write my code so it's platform agnostic. The way I pull off a lot of that is I take the code that's different between different OSs and I stuff it all into a library that I call system abstractions. So the things that you'll find in system abstractions are like, how do we talk to the clipboard? What's the crypto random API? How do we go to the file system? How do we launch subprocesses? How do we get the current time? How do we connect to the network? So these can vary between OSs. For example, in Linux, the way we get to time is through clock get time. In Windows, the way we get to time is through either query performance counter, or if we wanted to, we can do local time or GM time. So I stuff all the things that are different between OSs into this system abstractions library so that my main game doesn't care if it's running on Windows or Linux or Mac OS or something else that I support in that system abstractions library. The only thing that I really depend on at the higher level is the standard C++ library and my own system abstractions library. I do get occasional problems where I'll be building something and this will run fine on Windows, and then when I go to build it for Linux, I get a compiler error, and that's usually something like GCC didn't like something that the Microsoft compiler was okay with. It's like some weird syntax thing, but those are easy to fix usually. Where did my test NPC go? Oh, he's up there fighting? Oh no, the scripts are broken. They're really broken. What did I do? What happened here? Got a X number expected got nil in pursuit target mode. Looks like something broke. We should go fix it. NPC pursuit target mode. It's telling me that in this function, argument 3, this is nil. Oh, did the target die? Is that what happened? Let's see, what is its target? We don't know who this target is. Oh, pursuing this one. Does that target still exist? Yes. Okay, where is it? It's on top of him. Oh. Yeah. It can't move on... Wait a minute. Oh, it should still be able to find target. Thank you for that follow. Can you implement Python code in C++? Yeah, you can. I've done it before. The way to find out how to do it is you look for embed Python. There you go. So they talk about it in the Python manual. So it's kind of like how Lua runs. You have to like set up the environment for Python, and then you can do the stuff with Python, and then when you're done, you clean it up. So this is like they walk you through it basically. You can follow along by just copy pasting what they have here in the Python manual and just trying it out for yourself, or you can just read through it and say, okay, yeah, I need to do py initialize, and then I need to do py finalize, and then in the middle, I can just use the various APIs that Python provides to C++. I think the hardest part of it was for me was to figure out how to link with the Python runtime. And this chapter 5 didn't really talk about it, does it? Maybe it's right here. Embedding Python. Building. Yeah, I found that to be the hardest part. And this didn't really, I remember this didn't really tell you all the gory details. They tell you to include python.h, but you have to make sure that your build tools can find it can be a problem. Yeah, they give you some rudimentary help here, but I don't remember it being enough. Why your Ubuntu doesn't show up in your first monitor? That feels bad, Ben. I don't know how to fix that. Sorry. Yeah, so anyway, XGeoTrack the Python library chapter 5, I think. Where is this? Chapter 5. Embedding Python in another application is a good start. That's Python 2, isn't it? What is it in the current? All right. I guess it's its own special piece of documentation. It's not a chapter 5 in... Oh. This is a special bit of documentation called extending and embedding the Python interpreter. I see. Yeah, their documentation organization baffles me sometimes. Yeah, no problem. It's not as easy as in Lua. In Lua, it's extremely easy. You call Lua new state, open libs if you want the standard libraries, and close when you're done, and you only need to include these header files. And you can basically dump all of Lua's source code into your project and use it as is, and you don't need any other files. Python, you need their runtime because they load their own .pys and pycs, and so you have to carry those script files along with your program, so it can be a bit of a pain. Okay, what's broken here? It's telling me that target is nil. Target would be called from act line 90. Okay. Line 90. Pursuing. Pursuing is nil? No, pursuing is not nil. It's 38991. Why is it telling me it's nil then? Got nil for argument 3. Let's do an error. Pog. Just to make sure it's loading it correctly. Ah, so when that happens, it's a sign that something isn't being parsed correctly. And I'm going to want to look down at the bottom here to see what it is. Not seeing it. That's weird. Hold on. Is my script synchronization running? Oh, shoot. That's what it is. I never ran it. I need to be running this tool to keep my scripts in sync. Tools, scripts. Candinal is a secret word. Sync, realms, server, source, ECS, scripts. There we go. Now they're in sync. Now maybe this will go away. So, is that working? Yes. So let's error on target and see what we find. Now it's not an error? Oh, is that because it's nil? Target is nil. Why? Why you nil, target? Pursuing to string this. Spell string correctly. There we go. Pursuing nil. Ooh. Is it Is it a different NPC here? That might be it. If this is nil, then context toString context dot NPC entity is broken. End. 3330 is broken. Refresh. So pursuing isn't null. Hey there, Mr. Balrog. Adam 135313531353135313531. Hello. Hello, Ender, CM, and Endorn, and Adam with so many Adam EJs. It's almost overflowing my screen. How are you today? I'm trying to diagnose this really weird bug that's happening in my game right now. You brought in 13531 viewers, but 13,418 of them left already? Is that what happened? Hey, there's Sir War Eagle. And Johnny Man 9. Thank you for that link, Toulouse. That explains what my stream is all about. Playing with Scissors, hello. Balsa playing, hello. You've lost to me on Botland? My defense is impenetrable. Hey there, Gant. A lot of people I'm saying hi to. I'm probably missing a few. Des J01, hello. All right, so, and hey there, Slickver. Wow, so many people to say hi to. Boga, hey. All right, so this is the game I'm working on. It's broken right now. I'm trying to wrap up the rewrite of my game's NPC scripts, and I was working on something, and I noticed that there's a bunch of these script errors. And I'm narrowing it down using the classical method, which is to do print statements. So I've narrowed it down to entity 3330 is broken, and that's George. And I was looking at George, and it's broken if the pursuing attribute is nil. But I'm looking at his NPC component, and pursuing is definitely not nil. It's 38,991. So it's very confusing what's going on. Missing something, and I don't know what it is. Thank you for the follow. Okay. So these are the components of an entity in the game. This entity marked George. This is beefy looking guard guy. Tile describes how to draw him. For example, tile set 48 means to go to the entity 48 for the tile sets and pick the graphics for him. So he's tile 4, right? So we should see ID 4 there. Name is the nameplate. Where to draw him is governed by the position component. It gives me a depth, X and Y coordinates, and tells me what zone he should show up in. Zone 8682 happens to be the cavern. If I go to this other place, it's a different zone, so he wouldn't be drawn there. See how that works? Pretty cool, huh? Time to ban George then. Hey there, Karsten. Is there a reason why you use the admin UI for that kind of font? You mean the reason why I use the font that I do? I just tried to find a font that looked cool, and it's got some weird issues like the letter U looks like a V. So it needs some adjustment. I haven't really fine-tuned the font or the graphics or anything. Still working on the game engine to this game, so heavy work in progress. Go to coolfonts.bot.land for those. I see. Excellent. I'll have to go there and look and find the most epic fonts. All right, so what am I going to do to figure out why the data shows up here, but it's not appearing here? I mean, here. I guess I could print something else out to make sure it's not completely broken. What if we say step is ... context npc.step, and will that show up here? Null field step, what? Wait a minute, it's nil? Everything is nil? Oh, I wonder if I corrupted one of these scripts. Oh, hello, kitty. Look, my stream companion is back. His name is Casper. He's sitting up there looking at me and judging me. Hello. Hi, cat. He's looking straight at me. Monka S. Let's watch the intro video where he state that the game is in tune of Ultima. He played Ultima 7 and Ultima 8. Yeah, it's Ultima 4 and 5. So Ultima 4 and 5 kind of looked like this. Uh-oh, we got request to pet the cat. Alright, we have to do it. It's like a requirement. So let me hit the correct button here to not show my camera. Watching and judging, exactly. Okay, that was one pet. We'll say that that's C17R's pet. The cat actually did a little meow when I walked up to him. Adam says we can technically DDoS the stream if enough of you save up for the cat reward. Yeah, it would become like, it would bring my game to a standstill, wouldn't it? But let's go pet the cat one more time because the cat deserves it, doesn't he? Such a cute cat. Yeah, if I had too many redemptions, I would probably say, well, the cat's gonna get irritated and claw at me if I do it too much. Make George a cat? Yeah, sure. That's real easy to do. I just go select a different tile for him. Let's make him be a tiger. Done. George is now a tiger. I need to move him off of the square he's on, though. I wonder if this will fix things. That does fix it. Now he's going in and killing them all. Huh. Oh, I didn't check this field. Did pursuing enemy get set, but pursuing was nil? Oh, okay. I'll have to look for where we clear pursuing, but if we forget to clear pursuing enemy. That's probably what it is. So we're back to not being broken now. Maybe it had something to do with him standing on top of an enemy. There, stand there. No, he just wants to kill them all now. What if I put an enemy there and put... Stop moving! Stop it! I can't select him because he's moving. There. Yeah, that's what it is. He's on top of an enemy and it breaks when he's on top. Is that because he can't find the enemy? It should find there with a 0. Is he trying to pursue and he can't find a path to him because he's on top of him? That's what it is. I know what I did wrong. I did not include the current position for at the very top here, find enemy. So he can't. He's searching for it, and he knows an enemy's within range, and he's trying to path to it, but he can't path to it because he's right on top of it. So the find enemy, I need to fix that right here. dx0, dy0. Easy, easy fix. And now he will die. And they're all gonna die. Oh, we got another request to pet the cat. Cat opacity 1. Hold on. 2 requests? Okay, that was 1. That was Newey's request. Mark complete. And then going back. so much pet. He's actually starting to purr because I'm petting him enough. No, you keep redeeming it. Okay, this will be the last one for a while, okay? There we go. We pet the cat entirely enough. Turn the camera back on. Oh, what's that? Oh, is that from Undertale? What is that from, Adam? Can disable the reward for a bit? I'll do that if it gets spammed too much, yeah. Undertale. Undertale is a game I've heard a lot about, but I've never played. I should probably put that on my to-play list. Just one person redeeming it 3 times? Yeah. If it gets too excessive, then I either have to raise the number of points or I have to disable it for a bit. Yeah, he has been away for a bit. Oh, Tuabud! Thank you for gifting that sub to Adam. That's very kind of you. And you've also shared cheer rewards with 5 others in chat. That's very nice of you. Okay, let me test to make sure that this bug has been fixed. So, I put an enemy up here and I put George. See, he aggroes right away, which is a problem. And I moved stuff around. George is too quick. Okay, George, how about you move down here for a while? And you can move up here. And now jump to there. Oops, wrong click. There we go. Cool, so it works. He doesn't throw an error, he will attack underneath himself. I should probably make a test that matches that. I was too quick to fix it. I should have done the test-driven development thing. So let me take that out for a moment. Make a test for it. There is an enemy on the same tile. Enemy found, same tile, right? So it'll be that. This should fail until I put that line of code back in there. Just discussed today that Botland may shift to focus on education more so than regular gamers, so that's quite fitting. I think using Botland for education is an awesome idea. The tricky bit would be to get it known by educators. And it's just back to that marketing problem, right? Pet him. Okay, one more, and then I'm gonna have to suspend it. One. This will be the last one, I think. Ah, we pet him. I'm gonna put the thing on hold though. Manage rewards. I'll activate it later. For right now though, I think he's got enough pets. Oh, I see. It opens up another window when you do that. Okay. Got it. No more pets for a while. He needs to get his beauty sleep, you know? Cat still has fur, needs more pets. Lower the cost to 80 points. So Adam, did you know that Kit Boga added a custom channel reward, pay taxes? And the moment he did it, he got flooded by custom redemptions, so much so that he couldn't access his stream panel for a while. And he, I don't know if it was him or one of his editors managed to turn it off, but it like brought his stream to a crawl for like a good minute or two. And I'm like, this is why we need to make sure that we tune or be ready to turn off those things when they get out of hand. All right, so this test is in place. Now if I put that line of code back in there, and it works. All right. I feel like I should check that in as a separate commit, so let me do that right now. Oh, you got a picture? Nate. Yeah. So I was watching that flood of messages there. It was so fast that like the messages like this, like you'd see one message sprinkled in there, it would only be there for like maybe a tenth of a second, and then it would be gone. And people were like, stop, please stop. It was, and like it's 10,000 channel points. So people have like accumulated so many points, and they were just ready to spend them. Hey there, Crumpet. Yeah. So I think the channel point system, it's interesting, but it's still got, we still haven't gotten used to like how to set it up and use it, right? So this is fix bug in finding enemies on the same tile. Yep. All right, back to working on the guide script. This is not yet working, but the other ones are, right? All right. You have 60,000? Yeah, so you would have been able to pay your taxes 10 times. Maybe a cap on how many so you can accumulate. CM Griffin has an interesting way to throttle his. Every time someone redeems the, I think it was like, for one of his custom rewards, he will he either doubles or he increases by 10,000 the amount of points. So it kind of becomes governed by that. So I think it's like up to 60,000 points. And I might have to do that where Pet the Cat just becomes more expensive the more times it's used. Take off the beanie, that's right. So I think he adds 10,000 points whenever it gets redeemed. My cam is muted? Yeah. You mean, oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. I thought audio, but it's, yeah, he was hidden, yeah. Thank you for that, Playing with Scissors. I owe you one. There, I've paid you one. How long was I going without a camera? Probably a long time. An embarrassingly long time, right? Okay. Abort should just clear those fields. That's easy. So, context delta NPC guiding is null, and context delta NPC wait timeout is null. Easy peasy. How come you have no points? Tuabud, you should have points. There. I just gave you 10 points because you're like a VIP. You've been like subscribed for a whole long time. You've gifted a bunch of subs. You deserve some points. We can't have that. So, and Dorn will I need to give 3 points to at least match Tuabud. Because of all the good modding you do. Alright. So these subroutines are in place for governing the NPCs that guides a player around, right? So let's try to make some use out of it. I've usually been giving points to people who catch me making mistakes or have like suggestions and stuff. So yeah, I was sort of surprised you didn't already have a bunch of points. Nui's got like the most points. Actually, wait a minute. Toulouse might have surpassed Nui by now. Let's see. We want to show everyone. It's ranked by points. Oh yeah, Toulouse has passed Nui. The Nui's second place. Getting into Visual Studio versus PyCharm, any tips to configure it? Just the usual things that you'll want to do with Visual Studio Code. It's chock full of extensions. So for Python, you're probably going to want the Python extension. That might be good enough for you because that gives you the IntelliSense. It gives you the environment selection. It even has the debugger. So it's got all sorts of commands, linting, formatting, testing. So that might just be enough that you need. Investor Will Rob. That's one thing I really love about VS Code is that there's an extension for everything. Beat Nui a while ago? Yeah. Well, Toulouse, like, I feel bad that I'm facilitating Toulouse's procrastination a lot of the time. Yeah. Did I miss anything? I feel like I missed something in chat. Oh, how long am I streaming today? I will be doing 2 streams today. So, right now, these are the start times, but this is a 3-hour block, so I need to go in like an hour. But I'll be starting again 2 hours after that. So for UTC, it's at midnight. So if you're up late on a Friday night in the European Union or in the UK number 1, then you can see me at midnight. But yeah, I'll go another hour and then I have to take a break to go bring someone home from school. Playing with Scissors got a lot of points, right? You got 24 points playing with Scissors. Playing with Scissors, you're an awesome mod. It will be Saturday. I think of it as Friday night, though. But yeah, technically it will be Saturday. Early Saturday morning. All right, let me try to use this from the main NPC script. And I need to make sure I put it in the correct places. So before in my plan from yesterday, that the guiding stuff is more important than the pursuit stuff, because this actually sets pursuits up. Actually, this stuff should only be if we're not pursuing an enemy. Yeah. So let's take this, bring this into what step is it under? Aggro? This one was an extra step I actually added. I think I want to put it here. Oh, and there are those tabs there. Yeah, knock on wood, Crumpet. There hasn't been a whole lot of moderation that needs to be done. It's actually been pretty good lately. See you later, too, bud. If guiding and the client is out of range, wait. I think I need to augment this and say, if guiding, not pursuing an enemy, and the client is out of range, wait. So that unindentation it did there, that's a bug in the Lua formatter, pretty sure. So guiding would be context NPC guiding, and not, well, and context NPC pursuing enemy. Actually, that would be not then. And here's where I need to use the new method. NPC I shouldn't say sorry. Guide in range. Is that what I named it? Yes, guide in range. Context. Not. Then wait. Okay, so it depends if we've been waiting already or not, right? Let's combine this in here. If wait timer expired, abort guiding. So the if context NPC has a wait, what is it? Wait timeout. Then possibly we've timed out, else we should set it up. So here would be NPC guide begin waiting context. Here we have to see if context time is greater than or equal to the context NPC wait timeout, then NPC guide abort context. Yep. I think so. This will abort waiting if we exceed the timeout. It'll begin waiting if we haven't waited yet. So there should be an else here where we actually do nothing, right? We don't want it to continue walking. Same thing here. All right, now how do we get into the guiding state in the first place that we can trigger manually for now? Let me think about this. We need to clear the wait time. This should clear the wait timeout, right? Okay, it sets it. Oh, there should be, we should clear... If they're in range, we should clear it. Let me pull this into... Let's pull this in here. If in range... Oh, I did the wrong thing there. This one. If in range, then one thing, else this stuff. If they're in range and we should check if there's a wait timeout, then we need to clear it, right? Which would be context NPC wait timeout or delta is null. Yeah. If we were waiting and they're within range now, then we're not going to time out waiting and we're going to continue. What language is this? It's Lua. Thank you for the follow. And thank you for the answer, Bonfire. Let me give you a point. That's your first point. Nice. So, again, the engine that I'm writing for my game is custom. It's mostly in C++. But in my script host here, I do make a Lua interpreter, set it up with the standard libraries, and link it into my entity component system, and then allow data to transfer between the engine's JSON structures and Lua through this JSON wrapper. And so that's what we're seeing. These scripts in the NPC AI function here are called regularly every game tick through the entity component system. The invoke systems will go through the script host to invoke any game systems in Lua, in addition to calling the built-in game systems. So this happens regularly, and it's self-governed by an interval, so that it only really runs every half second. If we haven't reached the next half second, it returns early. So let me know if you have any other questions. You're learning to make noodles in Python. What are noodles in Python? I don't know these things. You've seen a lot of games that have mods allowed recommend Lua, but I like Lua because it's extremely easy to embed. All you need to do is have Lua library either linked with your game or just put the source code directly into the game, because it's just a bunch of .c files. Include these three headers and call one function to start the interpreter and one function to end it, and then a third function to connect the standard libraries. And the rest of the API, the only weird thing that I find about the Lua API is because it's stack-based, there's a lot of stuff about pushing and popping. So, and needing to know stack indexes. And the fact that negative stack indexes are relative from the top and positive or non-negative ones are relative to the bottom of the stack. It's really weird and makes the code look a little funny. Like when we're doing all these things, we're like pushing a function, inserting into the stack, and then everything else is using indexes on the Lua stack. It can be really frightening sometimes. So I will sometimes resort to, where do I do this? In JSON wrapper. I'll end up with comments on some of my code right, like this, saying index 1 is the old key. Now when we do next, now we have a new value and a new key. When we pop, we just have the old key left. So I'll have little comments on the right saying, well, what are the things on the Lua stack right now? It's just so I can keep track of it. Noodles is what you call nodes, like Blender's node system. Oh, okay. Interesting. I can do changes in real time, Carson. Every time I hit save here, it's going through, well, it's going to disk, and then one of the scripts I'm running, which is written in Python, is detecting a change in the file, computing its hash code, and saying it's different from what's in the game, and then uploads it to the game. So if you watch, it's kind of hard to watch. If you see that the last time is 1695, and I go into the script here and I change something, just add a comment, just hit save. Now you can see it updated it, and it went live into the game. So that's the principal reason why I'm writing a lot of the game systems in Lua, is it gets uploaded into the game instantly. And the downside is if I have an error, like if I just say foobar here, then I get these syntax errors in-game. And I have to remember to clear that old error. The debugging is more painful because I don't have a debugger for Lua. So I end up doing a lot of print messages or just generate an error and have it show up here. So opinion on Swift, I didn't like it because I couldn't integrate it with C. I couldn't figure it out. Maybe they changed that since, but when I first learned Swift, I'm like, okay, Swift is cool. How do I call my C libraries? Oh, can't? Okay, I guess I'm not using Swift then. So I went back to Objective-C for the stuff that I wanted to access custom macOS APIs. Swift was cool, but yeah, couldn't get to C libraries at all. All right, this is no longer needing to wait. This is waited too long. This has started to wait. So you know what that means? I should probably reset the wait timeout. I should call begin waiting if we stop pursuing an enemy, right? Actually, probably at the moment we start pursuing an enemy. So let me update pursuit. Pursuit test. Let's have pursuit start, reset the wait, clear the wait timer. Start pursuit. Yeah, let's have it expect to clear, or put a null in wait timeout. This will fail then until I fix it in here. Too soon, Executus. Ragnaros. Have you just pulled Ragnaros, Adam? Is that what you're telling me? Or did the cat get up and turn around? If you guys didn't know, I don't know, it's not a secret, is it? Adam's been playing World of Warcraft Classic. Logged off and immediately blazed your way through all of Molten Core. Hey, it's possible. If you have the right people to carry you, I guess, right? You can blaze right through that place. Otherwise, isn't it pretty hard in Classic to get through Molten Core? Oh, I see. Yeah. Too soon, Executus. All right. The side effect I want to add to starting to pursue. Don't I just want to do it at the very top? Yeah, let's just do it here. Context.delta.npc wait timeout is null. Cool. So now I don't have to worry about this triggering just because we went off to pursue an enemy, we killed them, and then immediately time out. I don't want that to happen. So when we stop pursuing an entity, it'll go into here. It might start to wait. If we get into this else. But if it's in range, it'll do a no-op. Okay, so we're good. What are my thoughts on the noodle system? I don't know the noodle system. it's what you call nodes in Python. I don't know enough about it. That's my thoughts. My thoughts are I don't know enough about it. Thank you for the follow. I had never heard of it before today. Cool. Let me give you a point for that. Let me take that link and put it in my notebook to look at later. Today's notebook there. I don't know anything about it, so I'll have to look that up. Oh, you just had a image. I've seen people use UIs like this to build custom shaders and also game logic. I think it's a fun way to program, maybe a little bit limiting, but for visual stuff, I think it's great because you can see the intermediate states of things. So I'm all for that stuff. The game that Kindred Dev is working on, he's using a system, a user interface, and a way to build his game that leverages that kind of stuff heavily, but it's not in Blender, it's in Unreal. And I forget what it's called, but it's like a way to program a game not in a traditional programming language, but through that same kind of user interface we're just looking at. Is it Blueprints? Is that what it is? Polarin. Hello. I'm not familiar with what Polarin is streaming, but I hope you had a great stream. This is a raid message. This is a raid response. Thank you for the raid, humans. Hello, Polarin. Just got out of the ad. I hope you had a great stream. What were you streaming? Right. So yeah, Kindred Dev is using the Blueprint system in Unreal to do something similar, Sentinel. If you're new to my stream, here's a little intro. You can take a look at my game under development there. It's a work in progress custom game engine, so there's not much to do. Right now, today, I'm working on building up the scripts for these NPCs to do things like, for example, George here takes care of these slimes if they get too close. So he's got a lot of logic in there to do pathfinding and attacking, and there's a limit to how far he'll go, his wander area here. So when he got down to here, he's like, oh, I'm too far away, and then he pathfinds back to his home base there. So I'm working on a little bit more of an elaborate thing today where I can set up an NPC to go to various checkpoints, and that the basic checkpointing system is in place. So if I go to George here, edit, go and add a travel attribute and say, I want you to travel to 013, and then I want you to go to negative 310. Add that and submit it. Now he's going to go for a walk, and we can watch his pursuit path to watch him go. I told him to go here and then back to here. So he pathfinds over to here. When he reaches that checkpoint, he says, okay, where do I go next? And there he goes. Now he's going back over to here. So that would be a simple, like, patrol to one checkpoint and back kind of thing. So I'm trying to enhance that today by making an additional requirement that as he's patrolling from one place to another, that he's guiding a player. So he'll be watching to make sure that my player doesn't get too far away, and if it does, he'll sit there and wait for a bit until the player catches up. But if he waits too long, he'll go and abandon the player and continue. So I'm working on that right now. Oh yeah, about the Discord going public. I wasn't too sure what to do, what that would do either. I'm still waiting to see if there's any positive or negative or effects of that. Escort doggo, yeah. So actually, George isn't supposed to look like a tiger. He's supposed to look like a beefy guard. Someone asked me to make him look like a cat. The tile component of George defines how he looks, so I can go here and say, well, I'd rather him look like a beefy guard. There, now he looks like a beefy guard. All right. I'm building up this part to do waiting for the player. What was the next part? The what does it do on a board again? It just stops, right? Actually, no. The guiding turns off, so he would continue on his checkpoints, ignoring the player. I guess we can start with that. So let me test it out. I would put my player within range. And what's the range set to, actually? Oh, it's not set. We should probably set it. The variable was called guide range or something, right? And I should add that to defaults. That would be the smart thing to do. There's this section of, like, if an NPC is missing an attribute. Default NPC guide range. Let's add that. That is in constants, common. Default NPC guide range. Let's set that to like 4. So then I don't have to set it specifically on his component. I can then just trigger it. So guide, NPC guide start 3330 and guide me. I am 523. Go. Okay, it didn't do anything. It's broken. Attempt to call nil value NPC. Oh, that's wrong. Okay, so I missed that. I put this in here. I didn't even mean to. This should be NPC guide store tiles. Guide store tiles. And I need that subroutine. I'm just going to copy paste it from aggro. Store, this one right here. This is making them available for us to look in the debugger. So it's really for debugging only. I don't care to test it. Just put it here, call it guide. And this is a guide range, I guess. Done. Oh. Where did he go? We still have an error. Wait time is nil. Okay. Oh, wait time is another variable that needs a default. Rebooted and good. You had to reboot into Linux for work. All right. Let's add that as a default because I forgot that. So wait time. These are all in some kind of weird random order. Let me fix that. Let's go alphabetical. All right, so I need a wait time. Default NPC wait time. Let's make that default here. I don't know, 5 seconds? Sounds good to me. Okay, let's see. Is he still broken? He's not broken. I wonder if he left. He probably timed out, is what happened. No, he's still guiding me. But it didn't pursue the checkpoints. Oh, that was supposed to... I forgot to add that as a third argument. Thank you for the follow there. Does anyone remember the golden days of stream where you could force me to pet the cat? We invoked it too much, Adam. I guess I could put it back with more points. This might be a mistake, but I can manage my custom rewards. I can just set it to 10,000 maybe, and enable it. I'll probably regret this. I know. But cat, we should pet the cat once in a while. I just need to get the rate to be good. Okay, I can just try this again, right? Lua. He's too far away though. I need to move closer. There we go. Lua NPC guide start 3330 523, and then I have to encode the checkpoints here. Let's just have one checkpoint to start. Let's go to 013. Okay, he's not moving. Why not? We have an error. Indexing a nil value and travel continue. Okay, well, what does his state look like? He is guiding me. Oh, the travel is a string? Ew. How did that happen? Okay, let's presume that it got in there correctly. Would it actually work? Yeah, okay, so he pathed around me, and he's going to wait up to 5 seconds there for me to follow him. Yep, so it's actually working. So if I get too far away, he kind of stops and waits for me, right? If I catch up to him, he continues going. So he'll go up like 5 squares away. So he's like leading me, basically. And then he's done, right? Okay, it didn't clear that for some reason. The travel got turned off. Oh, we forgot to turn off the guiding if when we get to the end. So it should do the equivalent of removing that. Okay. Saying invalid JSON. Oh, that's a side effect of something else. That I'm ignoring that right now because it's because I didn't return anything from the block that I wrote. What's weird is that it should have taken that third argument as a list. So let me see. It should have taken that as a list and put it there. Travel start. So maybe it didn't parse that list correctly? Oh, wait a minute. What am I thinking? That wasn't a Lua list at all, was it? Okay, let me try this again. Lua NPC guide start 3330 523. It has to be a Lua table, so curly braces. Let's go to -310. Now it's working. And let me test the timeout. So after 5 seconds, he should abandon me. Yeah, so he's abandoned me. He's moved on. The beast will purr again. Okay, so that's working now. Let me fine-tune this some. I should have it like where we can put in a script for when he starts waiting. And maybe another script when he gets to the end. Oh, I need to handle the end of it, right? Yeah, remember the golden days when it cost only $2? Actually, it was even cheaper than that a while ago. So this... Oh, the guiding got cleared that time. Or, no, I just didn't refresh it. No, it got cleared. This we need. This we don't need anymore. I don't need progress. That's obsolete. Don't need returning or state. I don't need waypoints. Actually, technically I'm going to have waypoints. I'm going to use that later. So let's submit that. All right. I'm going to cheat and just pick up my character and move him back here. Let me change... Was it weight range? Guide range? How come I can't remember these variable names? Guide range. Let's set that to 3, so he follows closely. All right. Lua NPC guide start 3330 Let's go to 013 first, and then we'll go up to 46, and then we'll go back to -310. All right. So he's leading me through the dungeon now. Where are we going, George? Okay. It's too dark here. I can't see when he stops. I should have set it to something less than 3, like 2. I guess I can see around the corner if he's stopping and waiting. Now he's waiting, and now we're moving again. Where are we going now, George? We're going this way, huh? Okay, and then we visited that square, and now we're going down. And we're done. So the guiding flag is being cleared. So, oh, was it on abort? It didn't? So let me test that. Let's guide up to -3, 1. NPC guide start. One, 3. So he should wait 5 seconds and then give up on me. And so they gave up on me. Now he's going up there. And then he saw a monster, and he's like, I need to kill that thing. And he saw another one, and then he reached the end of his... Oh. Did his wander area change? Oh, it did, because his home is now up here. Right, his anchor gets updated to where he travels to, which was a bug before, but now we fixed it. Alright, so I mostly wanted to make sure that guiding is off. Cool. Okay, so we have no problems. Hey there, Kinkomatics, long time no see. We're working on advanced NPC scripting, so I can make George now guide me through the dungeon, and he also takes diversions to fight monsters. And I'm just fine-tuning that right now. I want to have him say something whenever he has to wait. I want that to be parameterized. So let me put in a script just for George. NPC George. And we'll have function NPC George wait. We should be given the context, right? End. And we'll just have it say game chat. I don't remember these parameters. Let me look it up and find. Just game. Normal game message. And then the target, which is context NPC guiding. And then the text. Context NPC.name ... impatiently taps his foot waiting for you. There we go. Alright, and now if I call that... If I provide that function to guide start, I think that'll work. So let's have guide test. Let's have the start take an extra argument, which is the function to call when we start waiting. Thank you for that follow. So I need to have... what do I do with that? I can't put a function in the entity component system. But I could have it be a string, I guess. And then is there a way to load something dynamically in Python, in Lua? Dev docs, please. Lua. Is there a load? Oh, there is a load function. Oh, that's nice. Cool, that's what I want. We'll have it be represented as a string, and then we'll load it and call it. So down here, this is on wait. And we'll have just local on wait is hello world. Hello world. We just want to make sure that it gets stored in here. Guiding on wait equals on wait. So NPC guide start on wait on wait equals on wait. And then stop. Where was that? Guiding? Where we set guiding to null? Where do we do that? And where do we call guiding abort? Okay. Wait a minute. How is it being cleared normally then, if we don't hit a wait timeout? Oh, I bet it is hitting the wait timeout all the time. Yeah, okay. So we're not cleaning up the end of guiding, which we need to do that when we get to the end of traveling. I'll have to remember where I did that. Feel like I almost need to take a break. Actually, I need to stop streaming in 15 minutes anyway. So that'll be a good break. Come at this 2 hours later and get back into it. All right. So let's just do abort. The abort should be, if we have like context NPC on wait is foobar. Doesn't matter what I put there, right? This should be equal to null when we stop waiting or stop guiding. Cat petting break. You know it, Adam. More like I gotta go pick up a kid from school, but yeah. The cat petting will be included in the 2 hours. All right. This should be on wait is null. Fix that. All right. Now I'm free to call it. So that should be part of begin waiting. So context NPC on wait should look like a function call, right? Foo bar. And then it can't be local. It's got to be global. So I can access it through the G. Foo equals function. I don't know. Input. Moon unit. Expect equal bar for input. And let's make sure it gets called. So local foo called is false. Set it to true here. Expected down here. All right, so this won't work. Begin waiting. So here's where we got to do our magic here. I guess we should make sure it exists. So if context.delta. Does that mean I should have a begin waiting? I should have two tests. Begin waiting with callback and without. Begin waiting for a client being guided. An on wait callback is registered. Let's have a version where it's not. No callback is registered without callback, so it should just not crash, right? Yeah, so don't set that, and then there's nothing to check. It should just work without crashing. That should already pass. I didn't save that yet, so this should already pass. This one will fail. If content NPC on wait, then we gotta load it, then call it, and it should just be given, it should just have whatever variables it needs, right? Or should I provide it with something? Oh, it depends on what this one, okay, this wanted a context, so we'll provide the context, fine. That's all I need to do, I think. Yay! Alright, so then if I did this right, if we have this NPC George wait, then let's go find George. Here he is. I can say 10K. Uh-oh. I can say here Lua NPC guide start 3330 523. Let's go over to here 013. And let's eventually go back to negative 310. And then the string will be NPC what is it? George wait. George, what are you doing? I don't want you to be fighting those slimes over there. Let me put that there just so I don't lose it. All right, so send. So when he starts waiting, it should do that callback. It's not doing it. He does stop and wait, but he's not doing his chat message to me. It should be doing a chat message. Oh, is it breaking? It broke. That's what it is. Attempt to call a nil value. NPC guide begin waiting. On 147. So that ended up being nil. Is it not set? It's set. NPC George wait. Is that loaded into the game? I mean, it does exist as a function. Oh, wait, it already is a function, so it needs to be called like a function. So, yeah. It actually needs to be a function call. Edit. So let's just edit it in place. This should be NPC George wait context. Submit. Now he said, oh, no, still an error. Nil context. Oh, context is an argument. Okay. So yeah, to make this work, it thinks that this block is a function. So this should just be function context that end. So I need to fix the caller because the caller expects the block to be a function that is given context. So that should work. No, still no. Still attempting to call a nil value. Because I have to have a return in there, maybe? That might be it. Okay. This might have to be a return a function that does that. Depends on what onload does. Let me look at what is onload. Well, what does load do? If chunk is a function. No, if chunk is a string, the chunk is a string. I've never used this load before, so maybe I'm not understanding how it works exactly. Talking about up values. I don't care about up values. I don't suppose they have documentation for chunk. Body of an anonymous function with a variable number of arguments. Its chunks can define local variables, receive arguments, and return values. Moreover, such anonymous function is compiled in the scope of an external local variable called environment. To execute chunk, Lua first loads it, pre-compiling the chunk's code into instructions for the virtual machine, then Lua executes the compiled code with interpreter for the virtual machine. An anonymous function with variable number arguments. So then how do I get the names of those arguments? Maybe that's the point. I can't get the names. Then why bother having arguments at all? How do we receive arguments in a chunk? Maybe I just need to Google search this. How Lua load pass arguments. How do I pass arguments to a Lua file and loading from another Lua file? Yeah, what's the question? Is when we do this load in Lua, which I'm doing here, it says that load returns a chunk, and a chunk is the body of an anonymous function with a variable number of arguments. They can define local variables, receive arguments, which you can't see because I'm not showing it to you correctly. Receive arguments and return values, right? So how, if I want to pass the context as an argument to the thing I loaded, how do I get access to that argument within the chunk if the chunk is literally this string? Originally I just had call, like do that, right? But that name context doesn't, like it doesn't know to make that the first argument. There's an array name to access those vars. All right, so that's the trick. How do I get to that array? Is it the ... Okay, so then it would be this one seems to say it's ... not arg. You can use arg. Well, you can have local arg equals the table containing ... when passing to the function. So yeah, if that's correct, then I would say this would be ... the first one, right? I don't know, let's give it a try. So if that's the chunk, and then when we load it and call it the first argument, so that should work then? Oh, he said follow. No, that's something else. It's still not working. Still attempting to call a nil value. It thinks that that is nil. Maybe it's just saying that that's nil. Like I can try arg1. Looking at the print function. Yeah, I could do it this way. I could say error well ... 1. No, it's not. The load isn't even working. Let's just say error foo, and I have to escape those quotes. Submit. Okay, there we got it. So maybe it is arg and not ... So let's do error arg1. submit that. So it says global arg is nil. I don't know why I keep swapping windows like that. So arg is nil, and I can't do a ... because it doesn't even parse, I think. Yeah, I think I'm getting back nil from load because it's invalid. Like, it doesn't parse. Oh, yeah, so I'm not using ... as a parameter. I'm using context as a parameter. So that won't work because context is nil again, right? Oh, it did work. Hold on. It's not generating a script error, but it's also not... That's weird. There's no error, but it's not proceeding. Oh, that's weird. It should have errored. How come I'm not getting a script error now? That's a script error because it can't be loaded. It's nil. Oh, when you pass nil to error, it does nothing, right? Okay, see ya, Karsten Pet. I don't know. Let's do error arg. Argument is ... toString arg. Argument is nil. So arg is nil. So I can't use the word arg. And it's probably going to tell me context is nil also. Context. It's nil also. All right, so how do I get access to that argument? It's not ... right? Oh, it's a tape. There is a table there. Oh, is it ... context? So would it be context? Or is ... the context? So if it is, then I could do, well, let's see what it does when I do toString next ... Oh, okay. So it is the ... is the context. Aggro search. Wait a minute. Is aggro search isn't... What's aggro search? Is that something I put in the context? What's aggro? Where is it finding aggro search? Oh. It is in the context. That shouldn't actually be there. What do I get now? Delta. Okay, so it is the context object. Can you do ... then? Anyway, if it is the context, then I can just say NPC George wait ... right? And then he should pick it up as context. Oh, it's working. Oh, he's tapping his foot. He's waiting. Cool. I guess his name is Bob. Why is his name Bob? Cool. So now I can invoke a call. I can include a callback by chunk that gets loaded and executed whenever he waits. Nice. So every time he starts waiting, he says that. So now I want to have a callback where he that happens when he the wait times out. Using the same technique. So let's say George timeout. Let's clean this up a little bit. And let's fix his name. I don't know why it says Bob. Probably just old. NPC name. Yeah, why is it Bob? It's George. Submit. Fix his name. Okay. So George says... what should he say when he gives up? This is where I have trouble coming up with words for things and phrases. I'm through waiting. Good luck to you. There we go. So if that's the timeout, then yeah, the nameplate was correct, but the nameplate didn't match the name. Yeah. Yeah, I need to the stopping point that I'm going to come to will be this callback on giving up. So that was in guide test, right? It was abort, right? Abort is only called on timeout. Right here, right? Okay, so I guess we'll say abort with callback, without callback. No on abort callback is registered versus one that's registered. So that's one of these, like that. Hold on, what did I do here? Why did I have an on wait? Oh, to make sure it gets cleared, yeah. Okay, so this would be on abort. And then we want to expect it got called. And also it should be cleared. Right? And this should just be that. Alright. Now 7 minutes over. Yeah, I know. I have some flexibility. On my other channel, Crumpet, I've just been super busy. I work on my game when I'm not streaming a little bit. It ebbs and flows. If I'm motivated to work on my game outside of streaming, I tend to do that and not game. I really haven't played any games. And when I am not motivated to work outside my stream, then if there's a game I might be playing, then yeah, then I would stream on the other channel. Yeah, the uptime, I should have stopped at 3 hours. I'm overtime right now. So I give myself like a nice margin in case I need to go over. But I guess the hard stop would be in 15 minutes. Yeah. So I need to get this done in the next like 5-10 minutes. I think I will be able to do it, right? Let's have this set up. No, we had it not registered, right? Yes. Do we need to set it to null then? I guess it doesn't hurt. So that should already... Oh, why didn't that work? Oh, because it's not cleared. Yeah, let's do that. So, abort. Clear the on abort. That fixes this one, but not this one. To fix that one, we have to do a check. If abort, then call it. If abort, call it. And it works now. And then we're going to test in the real game by setting up... Oh, wait a minute. We're not done yet. We need to put it in start, don't we? Yeah, let's say let's register both on abort. Hello, world. Goodbye, world. Expect on abort to be stored. Alright, so then guide on abort. Let's break it up into multiple lines. Like that. Goodbye, world. I know, Monka S. But it seems fitting to have it balance hello. And remember, my game is about multiple worlds, so we're just saying goodbye to one world and hello to another one in the game. That kind of goodbye. Alright, so... I had that in my clipboard, right? So let's add to this NPC George timeout. And then take this whole thing and then paste it in here. And then he's going to wait for me right away until I get close. So if I let him time out now, what does he do? Okay, it's not working. Nil value on begin waiting again? Oh, these weren't correct, were they? They needed to have parentheses, dot, 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 end parentheses. So let's fix it in situ here. So that is dot, 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 and this is also dot, dot, dot. Submit. Alright, and now I'm through waiting. Good luck to you. And then he's abandoning me. He's going on the path by himself. So I could, as part of that abandoning thing, have it cancel the traveling too, and even have it travel back to base. So I'll leave that within the realm of what these timeout and wait scripts do. Will there be any realms, alternate universe versions? Could be, Rally Monkey. It sounds like a cool plan for me. Do you envision them being distinct? No, I think we'll have a mix of both. We have to, like, take any good idea. So alternate version of a universe sounds like a good idea to me. All right, George came back after his little jaunt out here and back. And let me check this in. This is shaping up to be pretty good. It's still rough around some of the edges. So we added a rudimentary guide system, and do I check in George's thing? I suppose. I kind of want to save what I had here too. Let's save that. Not scripts. Where do I want to put it? At the top level. Call it George. I'll figure out where I want to put that later. And it's not Lua, really. Well, it's Lua if I remove that. Yeah. I'll give it a more permanent home later. Oh, did it say good luck you? Thank you, Bonfire. And playing with scissors. Good luck to you. There we go. Fixed. Alright, what are we going to call this? First cut at NPC guide system. So add NPC attributes, wait, time, and guide range. Add wait, timeout scripts for George. Add wait, actually, so this is included there. Wait, time, timeout and guide range separate line. Right. So add subroutines to start. Start, and the other one was continue, right? In range, guide in range, begin waiting. So to start, check range, begin waiting. Oh, Kitty is on the move. And abort guiding. Goodbye, Kitty. Kitty cam off. And that's it for now, right? Okay, we'll integrate NPC guides subroutines into main NPC AI script. That's this part here. And then resorting that and adding defaults. Okay, that's good enough for me. Commit that and push it and end the stream for right now. Good luck, you. Yeah, it could have been. He has to pet himself with his tongue because I set the award too high. Well, before I go, since the cat was on the move, I can grab him. Hold on a second. He's where I thought he would be. He was going to his heater pad because he's cold. Hey. He's such a good kitty. Lets me pet him and hold him at the same time, and he doesn't claw me to death. Now he's gonna sulk and wander back to his heating pad. All right, let's find someone to raid. Who is streaming right now? I'd like to pick someone who's doing coding or game dev or something like that. Oh, Sims 4 is streaming right now. Interesting. I guess we can read the Alta 4 stream. Working on his open source cloud stuff. Symphony. He's been going 4.5 hours though. Hopefully he's not ending his stream. Let's just raid Alta 4 stream. He's in the same well, he's in the same rough area as I am. We're both in Southern California. He's an awesome guy. Also, it's a co-stream, so his stream, he has a partner who streams other things. And but this is Black Glasses who's streaming now, and he's working on an open source cloud implementation. So pretty cool stuff. With Go, with RPC, it's all fun. So let me hit the raid channel button. I like using the button stuff, that way I don't misspell things. Now I'm starting the raid. So I'll be back in a couple hours to do more stuff, hopefully, unless I get worn out. But usually I'm okay after a break, so anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy the Alt F4 stream. I should be back in like an hour and 45 minutes or so. Until then, thank you. If I don't see you, then have a great weekend and take care. Bye.